Let's talk photography, business, finance. Welcome to my Business of Photography channel. My name is Rosh. This video is part of a series of 31 videos that I'm creating in the month of May to support you with your photography business. If you're just starting out or rebooting your photography business, you may want a few questions to ask yourself. Well, I have a link in the description below with a helpful download. A common question that I receive is, how should I legally set up my photography business? And based on my experience within the United States, especially Michigan, I noticed that a lot of photographers work as sole proprietors. They're freelancers, meaning the money that they earn is taxed at a personal level, minus their expenses. The other option, in which there are a few options, is a pass-through corporation. It's a company that it's its own entity. However, the profits are passed on to its shareholders and then taxed at the shareholders' income level. Although the company earns income, it is not taxed. All of the taxation goes through to the shareholders, so all the profits are distributed by the end of the year. And the items that could not be written off are also sent on to the shareholders. So you have to be careful. Sometimes a pass-through corporation is a great way to go. Other times it is not. For example, if you earn a high income or your family as a whole earns a high income, you may want to consider a C Corp. It depends on the corporate tax rate. If your personal tax rate is higher than the corporate tax rate, then you might want to consider creating a C Corp, because a C Corp is actually a taxed entity and you are then paid by that corporation, and then the income you earn from that corporation is then taxed at your normal personal rate. Many of the corporations you find on the stock market exchange are C Corps, and many people earn dividends or earn money by the increased value of the stock over time. So it can get rather complicated. Again, it's really important to talk with professionals. When it comes to finances, the most important thing for you to understand is how much is coming into your company and how much is going out of your company. And a lot of times we make note of what's coming in, but we don't pay attention to what's going out. Our goal is to have a positive cash flow. But to truly understand that, you need to know your cost of doing business. And I have a video in this series on the cost of doing business. And if you've not checked that out, I recommend you do so after this video. As far as I'm concerned, a successful photography business is a photography business that has a positive cash flow. More is coming in than is going out. And it doesn't matter if you make $20,000, $50,000, $100,000, or $1 million a year as a photographer. If you're not bringing any of that money home and paying all your bills, it doesn't matter. I'd rather be a $50,000 photographer who has a positive cash flow than a $250,000 photographer who is losing $50,000 a year. One thing for sure is that you need to understand your tax system. Now, my experience is based on the United States and specifically Michigan. And for most photographers, they file quarterly estimates. And that means that they figure out approximately how much they made that quarter and then send in an estimated tax return along with the check related to the taxes that they could owe. However, I know a lot of photographers are not very good at submitting quarterly returns, myself included. That's why I like to use payroll company services. Now, I specifically use Gusto, but there are a number of them out there. And there are a number of systems for your accounting as well as your everyday invoicing. There's QuickBooks Online, there's FreshBooks. There are a number of excellent services. You just need to find one that works best for you. Now, the thing is, if you have assistants or stylists and you pay them over $600 a year, you're going to have to submit a 1099 to them and the government. The great thing about using a service such as Gusto, and this is not an affiliate push or commercial for them, this really is just the service that I use. But the thing is, I can submit all of my paperwork, all of the information through Gusto as it relates to my payroll for me or any of my team members, and as well as my contractors. Here's the deal. If you pay over $600 a year, you need to give that person, an assistant or a stylist, a 1099 at the end of the year and submit it to the government. If you pay them through Gusto or whatever service you use, they will keep track of that and send them the 1099. Not only that, it'll submit all the paperwork for your payroll as well as taking out the taxes and submitting the money to the government, including your state or province. That is really helpful because let me tell you, as a creative, I'm not the most organized person in the world, and using a service like this has been extremely valuable. One thing that's really important for you to understand is the difference between secured and unsecured debt and trying to stay out of debt. Honestly, debt is a tax on your business. Wait, and a lot of times we use credit because we're impatient. We think we need something right now. Unsecured debt is like using your credit card. Secured debt is securing against an asset such as your car or your home. That kind of debt is not so bad overall. Being debt-free is the best way to go about it, but sometimes to get things going, you do need to purchase some equipment. I highly recommend that you stick with the basics, the very basics of the equipment that you need right now, and you can rent. It's so easy today to rent the equipment that you need, especially for special projects. And then over time, as you find yourself renting specific equipment over and over again, then consider purchasing it. Put money aside every month, whether it's $25, $50, or $100. Put it away in a place, maybe automatic withdrawal to a mutual fund, a balanced mutual fund, or an index mutual fund, something that's very simple and not highly volatile. Something that you can draw from rather than using credit. But the money's taken out immediately every month, you probably won't even miss it. But when you really need it, it's there, and all you have to do is make a phone call and it's back in your account. Photography is not an easy business. Honestly, it's one of the hardest businesses out there. If you can make a photography business work, you can probably make just about any other type of business work. So consider that fact as you develop your photography business. It is hard, but it's so rewarding when you make it work. It's important to diversify the types of photography projects that you do. In other words, you want to have some regular recurring income. Now, these types of jobs tend to be smaller, they're regular, but they bring in income on a regular basis. You're not paid quite as much, but you're winning the game on volume. In other situations, you have large projects and it's kind of like a big windfall. It's important to try to run your business, especially in the beginning, based on the recurring revenue. Now, in some cases, you may want to get a related part-time job, one that will help or support your photography business as a whole. For example, I've worked at camera stores. I've worked as an assistant. There are a number of ways that you can support your photography business within the photography industry, and that regular revenue is really helpful. When developing your photography business, there are two lines to consider. The top line, that is the overall gross revenue, and that is where you focus. Focus on growing that top line. Keep bringing in more business. There's also the bottom line. And the larger that bottom line is, that means you are managing your business well. So it's top line before bottom line. Top line is really all about your marketing and your brand and your reputation and the new work you're bringing in. The bottom line is all about the management of your company. And your goal is to make sure that you have more money coming in than going out. That's probably the most important thing to focus on as you grow your photography business as it relates to finance. See you in the next video.